USC. I mean, at least these are two iconic programs representing iconic conferences, and so it's going to be amazing with Texas going into that building.
We're going to have right now Sam Webb, the publisher of Michigan Insider for 24/7 Sports and the host of Michigan Insider on Big 1050 WTKA. And Sam, we had a chance to talk to you last year. You crushed it. You were telling us about this Michigan team. We should have believed you a little bit more, and here we are. Walk me through it. What's the vibes like with Texas headed in and all of the kind of changes that we've seen up in Ann Arbor?
Yeah, I think they're trying to figure out who they are offensively. I think that there are a lot of miscues up front along the offensive line, maybe more miscues than they expected, but probably maybe what they should have expected given that they replaced 5 offensive linemen. They have guys who started games, but not guys who have started games together. And given that this was the first time they were all on the field at the same time, maybe they should have expected there were going to be some chemistry issues, and there were a lot of them. They left 4 or 5 explosives on the field because guys just had some technical breakdowns. And this is the kind of offense that just can ill afford to do that. You had Davis Warren getting his first start last week, guys, and I think that was a nod to him being the superior passer. They said last couple of weeks of practice he had an 87% completion rate, and I think that's a sign that they were sort of, hey, they want to throw the football more. But I think this week, given what we saw from Alex Orji and what he was doing running the football, I would be surprised if we didn't see him get a few more snaps. At the very least, him get a few more consecutive snaps because they used him in spot duty. He was getting in a snap here and a snap there. And if you're gonna be running in the loaded boxes like they like to do, I just, to have a quarterback that can account for that can help you do that a little bit better. I think that calls for maybe giving Alex Orji a few more snaps, and I think we're going to see that this week against Texas.
Yeah, Sam, I was shocked to not see more Alex Orji after being at the Rose Bowl and hearing all the Michigan fans' excitement about Alex Orji's future and seeing him on the field and how big his legs were. Man, he seemed to be the heir apparent. Maybe that still happens down the road. But you mentioned Michigan trying to figure out who they are and wanting to be maybe more of a passing team. It seems like against Texas, though, the game plan should be to be more ball control. Try to use maybe a page out of the script from last year's offense a little bit more. I mean, what do you see as the recipe offensively for how you beat Texas? Because I don't see that they're able to score with what the Longhorns are typically able to put up on the board.
So, it's an interesting question because you remember they won the Big Ten championship a couple years ago with Cade McNamara as quarterback. And I don't mention as a slight. It's more of an observation. Michigan could really, with their offensive line, block loaded boxes, right? You would think that a team could stack the box against Cade McNamara, quarterback, and they would be successful at slowing them down. But they were just really adept at blocking that extra man. And you got to figure out if you can do that with this offensive line. And if you can't, how do you account for that? Michigan, with their offensive line, wasn't as adept at doing that last year, fellas. And so J.J. McCarthy was able to account for that extra man, right? I mean, they started reading that guy. That's how they were able to start running the football a little more effectively after 3 or 4 games, using J.J. McCarthy as that guy to account for that 8th defender. And that was the X factor. Well, okay, can your quarterback do that this year? If he has to be that, if it's Davis Warren, it's not going to be the same. I mean, maybe you got to RPO it if it's Davis Warren. And if it's not going to be Davis Warren and it's Alex Orji, all right, well, you're going to have to lean into that and run the football a little bit more. To me, that's what it all boils down to, is how can you get to the point where you're running the football more effectively? Whatever gets you to that place, whether it's Alex Orji, as the quarterback that is running the football a little bit more in the game, or it's Davis Warren, hey, running some RPOs and getting the box lighter that way. However it gets you to the point of being able to run the football more effectively, that's what Michigan needs to do.
Sam, is there a worry that y'all don't have the cheater Connor Stallions on the sidelines anymore going forward? I mean, again, now that you guys have to line up and play football without stealing the signals and stuff like that, how does that play out?
So I would say to you that Connor Stallions was on the field last year for East Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
He was on the field last year for Rutgers, Minnesota, Nebraska, and
Mm-hmm.
UNLV.
Yeah.
He was not on the field for any of the rest of the games. So that would say to me that they were pretty all right without Connor Stallions around, and they're pretty effective without Connor Stallions doing what he did and doing what science stealers around the country are doing. I think that, for Michigan, it really boils down to, like I said before, they have the kind of defense in this game that if you don't leave them out to dry, like they can play with anybody in the country. Like
Mm-hmm.
this they are not as deep as they were last year. And that was the secret sauce. Like they are as talented, maybe up to 15, 15 players deep, but they aren't as talented out to maybe 20 or 22.
Mm.
And so, that being the case, if they lose the time of possession battle, if you leave this defense on the field 35, 40 minutes, fellas, that's a losing proposition for Michigan. So they have got to figure out a way to balance that equation. The offense has got to do their part. They got to be able to control the line of scrimmage. They got to be able to possess the ball some and close out some of these drives. So for the defense, that means limit explosives, get off the field. The offense, control the line of scrimmage and get some explosives. There were some explosives on the field. There were a couple of times where Donovan Edwards should have been one-on-one with a safety. Alex Orji should have been one-on-one with a safety. And they didn't get those opportunities because the offensive line
Mm.
or maybe another blocker missed an assignment. That cannot happen against Texas because if it does, they'll be in trouble.
Sam, last year when I was at the Rose Bowl press conference out there, every player I talked to, every coach I talked to, talked about how tight this team was and how much they loved each other and how great the chemistry was. Obviously, a lot of those leaders have moved on, J.J. McCarthy being the most noteworthy, Jim Harbaugh no longer there. What's the feel amongst this locker room now? And I really feel like that was the reason why they did nothing in the second half against Alabama and then put the one drive together when they needed it. Like, if things get tight in this game against Texas and they need to make a play, do they have that same chemistry and continuity that they had last year? Do they know yet?
Yeah, I think, look, I don't think that they lack for leadership or culture. I just don't think that is an issue. That part is really carried over in a very effective way. I don't think this team stays together if it didn't. When the coaching staff leaves, when the strength staff leaves, it was a recipe for a mass exodus of the stars of the team. But they decided to stay together at a time where there are real offers, real substantial offers on the table for all those guys to leave. So the culture and the leadership base is really here for when the chips are down for those guys to really respond. To me, it boils down to the identity on offense. What are they? Who do they go to? Who are the playmakers when the chips are down? And to me, that has to be established. Right? Like I said before, I think they're sort of in an in-between space about what they want to be offensively. I think that really manifests in the quarterback, right? They went with, and this is not me disparaging the choice of quarterback, and I don't want to be taken as such, but Davis Warren was the superior passer in camp. 87% tells you all you need to know. There's no question about it that he it was the guy. But who gives them the best chance? Who was the best guy when it came to running the football? I don't think there's any question that was Alex Orji. So, you know, what are you going to try to lean into? I think they were trying to get to the point where they can throw the football more effectively. Is that going to lead to them being a more successful offense? I think they're going to find out really quickly in this Texas game whether they can do that
Yep.
because you can't get behind against Texas. If Michigan gets behind a couple of scores against Texas early, the game is over. They can't play behind against this team. They can't come from behind against this team. So the rubber meets the road really, really quickly. They got to be able to run the football. Whatever gives them, I'm going to say it again, whatever gives them the best chance to run the football is what they have to do. And I think they're going to figure that out early in this game.
We will see. Sam, great insight, man. I always give you some hell, and you always roll with the punches extremely well. And you're talking about a national championship team. That's fun, and you guys do a great job covering it. We appreciate the time, all right?
Thanks a lot.
There it is, Sam Webb joining us.
I would argue with Sam that, Connor may not have been on the sideline, but he already got the advanced scouting that they needed in those games, right?
Hey, listen, all joking aside, he wasn't there against Alabama, and Alabama had a chance to beat him, and they couldn't do it. So kudos to them for being able to get that dub. All right.